Okay. Plugged in. That'll help. I didn't plug in. Alright. Now I got a mic plugged in. Shit. Now I got echoes. Alright. Tell you what, let's do this. Let me kick that one out of the stream. You guys hear me now? What's up, Bernie? What's up? Let's see. 5 by 5. All right, we're kicking ass now. This two computer setup sometimes trying to get cams and shit where I want them is I'm still working on it. Let's put it that way. But I am off work, so we're going to have a little fun. So anyway, this set of videos popped up on my stream today since I follow the ATF. So we're going to look at this. This is like a profile of one of their agents. So we're gonna watch a little ATF propaganda here and see exactly what they have to say. But before we do that, we got to start off the way we need to start off. Need your email? I'll tell you what. Let me put it over here. See if I can see. Damn it. That should be the one that'll get you there, brother, all day long. Telegram channel. Yeah, fuck it, man. Roll it. And if any of you guys want my email, man, it's right there. So any of you guys want to email me about plasma cuts or fucking stupid shit that maybe we need to cover on gun control, hit me up. That's the email I use. That's going to be my company email once I get that rolling all the way. So yeah, hit me up. cntdesign2022 gmail.com. That should be it. That should get you there. So let's do this. And let's kick it off the right way.
This is Sparta!
Hey, boys! Look what I got here.
Hey, where are the white women at?
So let's see. Let me pull up this first video. Let's throw this puppy in here. Video file. Da, 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 da. I had this up earlier. Now I got to find it again. Which one's number one? All right, question once. So apparently this is going through and questioning this agent. So let's see what we got. What's the best view? Not that one. I like how they're starting this out already. And motherfucker, if they ain't wearing masks. Oh, this got better all of a sudden.
The only person that limits you is yourself.
They're in Fort Lauderdale, apparently at the police department. Chris Robinson, special agent. Interviewed him, assistant special agent charge. God, well, at least they didn't go with the 1970s porn music. I'll give them that. It's more like 1990s porn music.
Christopher A. Robinson. Essentially, as an ASAC, I can describe my duties as follows. I engage in a lot of risk mitigation. I review tactical plans. I oversee 6 groups in the field division, ranging from 2.
So he oversees tactical plans. I'd like to see this dude take a Rorschach test, see how many dogs he pops up with.
HIDTA groups, one in Miami-Dade County, one in Broward County. I have 3 groups on Puerto Rico. I have another group here in Fort Lauderdale. And in terms of mitigating risk, I'm looking at the operational plans just to see that our people conducting the mission safely, whether it's buying a gun, purchasing narcotics,
effecting an arrest,
executing a search warrant. I'm looking to see that we have enough personnel there, and I'm making a rapid assessment when considered in tangent with the division tactical advisor, who I speak to regularly, because we do things a little bit differently here in this field division. When the tactical plan comes in from my side of the field division, it goes to me as well as the division tactical advisor, DTA. We review it as a team.
I wonder if we could get him to like redo the whole "Where the White Women At" sketch from Blazing Saddles. There's probably no chance of that. Probably none at all.
We speak with one voice, one email, to minimize the amount of email traffic that goes back and forth. We ask for corrections. When the corrections come through, I talk to the DTA again, just to ensure that they're done safely. I also engage in some fiduciary oversight. In other words, I'm making sure that our people are using agent cashier funds that are allocated for them to make the purchase of evidence properly and getting the taxpayers the biggest bang for the buck. I'm also responsible for making sure that our people are not necessarily abusing the agent cashier funds. I serve as a liaison point of contact with the management teams of our partner agencies. I frequently do meetings with assistant chiefs of police, sometimes chiefs of police, first assistants, criminal chiefs from the U.S. attorney's offices.
So this guy's down there in southern Florida, right? I wonder if he had anything to do with Matt's case. So that's the first part of the profile. Let's hit number 2 here. Question number 2. They still got the beats.
Even as an acting SAC, my phone rings constantly, or I'm seeing things on the news with either violent crimes or a potential mass shooting, and figuring out how to move our people around, how to get them here, how to get them there, what they need.
Now let me ask the class this. When something happens in one of these states, say there is a mass shooting, that's a state issue, not a federal issue. Just thinking, because federal agencies really and truly constitutionally have no police powers inside of the states. Just saying, happy hands and everything, jazz hands.
Need, what they can do, how they interlock with the state and local partners as well as the federal. That's probably the biggest challenge that we have. Keeping up with what we're seeing as an increasing amount of I want to call it strange violence because of COVID. I mean, it's a problem.
Strange violence. I could make so many jokes there with strange violence. Is that like a grudge thing where you just get a strange chick, or you hit a little strange there? Trying to be as polite as I can with this joke, but man, it just keeps getting worse and worse the more I think about it. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. Where's question 3? Here it is. So what are the main objectives in the Miami Field Division? Gabber, what's up, brother man? How's it going?
Main objectives for the Miami Field Division are to ensure the stoppages of violent crime in our area of responsibility, which includes a wide swath on the southeast section of Florida.
Again, why is a federal agency involved in state matters? Ting ting, what's up, sexy chick? How my niece and nephew doing, by the way? But yeah, why? This is something most people don't think about. This is a federal agency. They are getting involved in state matters. The most this federal agency should be able to do, since we're talking about maybe firearms, is maybe do a firearms trace for a local state entity. What are you talking about, Gabber? What'd I miss? What'd I miss? Just got 1,000 rounds of 9mm. Hell yeah, brother. Good deal. What brand? Like Blazer Brass or Winchester White Box? Or it's been a little bit since I checked the price of 9mm. I got to break a buddy's balls about the 1,000 rounds he loaded for me. Jason, what is up, my brother? Much love. How's the wife? All right, let's get back. Let's watch this. Some Bulgarian shit. Hey, man, as long as it fucking runs, brother.
Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, building, maintaining, and strengthening relationships with our state and local partners, as well as federal, protecting the public and safeguarding the public from explosives incidents, as we have a very active arson and explosives group, and just basically being the best federal partner to everyone that we can be, because we have no shame in terms of our prosecution.
He has no shame in terms of his prosecutions. Kind of like Matt, that dude from the Navy. Yeah, they got no shame in their prosecutions, baby. Take someone who was nonviolent, no threat to the public, go throw them in jail for decades. No shame. No shame. Remember, he said it, not me. I'm just the one smoking cigarettes and drinking beer.
Whether it's federal or state, as long as we get the job done.
Obi-Wan, what's a happening? Yeah. Maybe that's what we should turn them into. They're the Armadillo Termination Federation. That's what they need to do. They just need to be out taking care of armadillos. The Armadillo Termination Federation. That would be the only good use for the ATF. And don't even ask where that came from. That was question 3. Let's go to 4. What's my girl team saying? Boys cutting grass, girls cleaning the house. Hell yeah, team. Raise them up right, girl, you know. What trends in crime are you seeing in Miami?
Trends that I'm seeing in Miami as of recently would include the Glock switches, which is basically you can take the Glock 19 that we carry, which is a semi-automatic pistol.
AR guns, what's happening, brother?
those are being turned into fully automatic pistols. We're seeing more of that on Puerto Rico, but it's starting to show up over here on the mainland.
Oh, wait a second. You mean criminals everywhere are breaking the law? I can't do my surprise face. It just it's all shot out these days. Hey, our guns, I hope you're doing well, my brother. Oh yeah, Gabbard. No, that doesn't matter, man. When the DA and all them, they lose their drugs or ATF loses their guns, that doesn't count, man. It's all like an etch a sketch. If you know what that is, they just shake it and make it fucking disappear.
We're seeing some changes in the trends of commonly trafficked narcotics.
Why is the ATF involved in narcotics? I thought we had the DEA for that kind of shit.
Just really depends on the day, but mainly it's the firearms issue, where these commonly trafficked guns are being made into fully automatic weapons.
You don't say. So you mean to tell me that whole 86 ban on machine guns didn't stop criminals from getting machine guns? I'm so surprised. That's kind of like the let me get rid of some shit. It's kind of like the 34 NFA. What most people don't realize about the 1934 NFA is it put a $200 tax on a machine gun, which was roughly the cost of the machine gun at the time. Thompson Sub, a couple others. But there was no prohibition of criminals, felons, getting machine guns. So Al Capone could literally, even underneath the 34 NFA, could file the paperwork, get a machine gun, no problem. Pow, he's got it. They were the only ones who could really pay the fucking tax at the time. So even though there was a tax, the criminals still got the machine guns. It just priced everybody else out of the fucking market. Did Ron Wayne slip in here? Yes, he did. Ron Wayne, how is it, my brother? How is Miss Misty Wayne in that pimp hand? Hopefully you're shucking and jiving, man. You got a little boxing moves on you. Because I know she keeps your ass straight. At least she better be anyway. All right, what question were we on? Was that was that 3? Let's check it out. I can't remember. Losing track. No, that was 4. Okay, so we got to go to the next one. So we got to go to question 5. Which one's it? Question 5, right here. All right, so question 5. What do you think is the most distinct thing you're experiencing in Miami? Cuban chicks with really great butts. I like big butts and I cannot lie. This stream could go off the rails at any second.
The most distinct thing I experienced in Miami is just the fact that as a field division on the mainland, we really don't have that many counties. But it's just the fact that our field division's area of responsibility spreads out to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And coming down here, I didn't have
Ting, you and me both. If I could go to Afghanistan, go pick up an RPK or something like that right now, let's go. Yeah, the 34 NFA was absolutely unconstitutional. What is up, Dark, my brother? Dude, I never did message you the other day or call you. I'm sorry. There's a story behind it, but I'm not going to say it online. I may or never mind. Don't worry about it. Shh. Chamber Defense, what's up, my brother?
Puerto Rico initially. And I've found that, when I get off the plane, people are very welcoming, but there's a lot of violence going on over there. And it's something that I consider somewhat significant because I've never been someplace where I've seen so many shootouts with fully automatic weapons and that type of thing. The Virgin Islands.
Apparently, he's never been to Chicago.
Has its challenges as well.
So he's talking about Puerto Rico machine guns. If you can't stop machine guns from getting to Puerto Rico, homeboy, how the hell you think you're going to stop them in the United fucking States, North America? Realize how many people walk across the border, how much shit they could tote with them? I'm just saying. Video, where are we at? We're at 6. I think. Pretty sure. Has the CGIC enhanced the work you're doing? CGIC, what the fuck is the CGIC? They got me on that one. Miss Wayne is absent from class today. I will mark her off. She will get a 0.
Our CGIC has enhanced the work that we're doing before because it's a constant work in progress, which is subject to reevaluation by myself and other members of the management team. Our CGIC frequently interacts with our state and local partners, sharing intelligence, trends, patterns.
Let's throw Darks up there because he actually absolutely knows what he's talking about. High level of firearms restriction, the fact that people got machine guns out there speaks to the truth. Yep, 100%. I mean, who knows? Depending on how long this takes, we might do it. We might go through a Twitter feed just to fuck around. Because just the pure insanity of people. Oh, if we take away guns, we'll save. No, you won't save any lives. You're not going to save a single life.
Our CGIC has a very robust response at this time, which we're seeking to beef up. We have a very aggressive
HPS, what's up, my brother?
CGIC supervisor who seeks to maintain strong relationships with our state and local partners. So I would say there's more of a sharing of crime gun intelligence, and there's more of
crime gun. Maybe we should have made this a drinking game where they would mention stupid shit we got to drink. I'm drinking already, so it's up to y'all. Oops, shit, wrong button.
CGIC has a very robust response at this time, which we're seeking to beef up. We have a very aggressive CGIC supervisor who seeks to maintain strong relationships with our state and local partners. So I would say there's more of a sharing of crime gun intelligence, and there's more of
something crime gun. Yeah, you're right.
Developing crime gun intelligence to help our groups initiate casework.
Look, we can look at, very recent history when people took guns and, well, they either got loaded on trains, they got starved to death by the millions, or they got marched to death and then shot. Giving up your guns and having the government have a sole monopoly on violence is never a good idea. Let's see that. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop it. Video file. So that was 6, right? So let's go to 7. There's 11 parts to this, by the way. How do you work with your state and local partners? Yeah, dude, that bill in Massachusetts, that's another one I got to freaking cover, man. This is what people don't realize. We're making some headway in the courts. The goddamn bacon. What's up, brother? But we're making some headway in the courts. Seriously, what's happening, brother, man? But while we're making some headway in the courts, I mean, we're getting shot down in some, we're making headway in others. You still have all these states just saying F brewing, and then they're passing their own stupid ass laws when it comes to firearms. And then those have to go to the court. But the thing that sucks is while those are making their way through the court, there are still people getting charged under these laws, jailed under these laws, basically losing everything they have under these laws. And they won't get any kind of, reparations, for lack of a better word, for what the government's doing to them. What's up, soldier girl? I should have known when Bacon was showing up, you'd show up. Bad Penny following each other. No, just kidding.
For me right now, I can say that I have a cadre of Miami-Dade Police Department TFOs that work for me.
So the local guys work for him. That's a new one. Just saying.
Those TFOs do anything from going out to gun recoveries all hours of the night. I have an experienced cadre of Miami-Dade TFOs that work for me in High to South. Those guys have been with ATF, some of them 20, 25 years. I'll put them up against any agent in the country between writing wiretaps, search warrants, arrest warrant complaints. I've also had the pleasure of working with a cadre of TFOs from Miami Gardens, which we do a lot.
Vanessa Kitty, what's up, my sister?
Of work in Miami Gardens. Those guys have a high amount of investigative acumen in terms of street crimes. They were the author of a program that we initiated in Miami Gardens in particular that was very successful for the DAD of the Eastern region at that time. We were averaging
Hold on. That's a 5.45 gun. Stamp receiver. Hold on, we got to make that big. How do we make it big? Yeah, that's a 5.45 gun. Maybe. No, that's a 5.45 gun. It's got to be. It's got side rail. Magazine looks right. Rivet pattern. Dimples. Yep, that's got to be a 5.45 gun. Got to be. I mean, it could be a 5.56 where they took a 5.45 and converted it. Could be, but I'm thinking 5.45. And then this guy right here just looks like a regular old AR. Imbecites. Looks like probably a knockoff ACOG. I'd probably use it. AR on the bottom is a 22. Damn, Dark, you on top of it.
3 to 4 firearms seized a week using rolling street operations.
Is that 22? Could be.
And we did that for about 6 months. And some substance we seized.
Yeah, it's a, like I said, it's a 5.45. Gotta be.
I want to say it was 85 firearms and arrested 105 between federal and state court. And this was just affecting one zone in Miami Gardens. I have TF.
Did Uke slip in here? Where'd Uke slip in? Uke, you did slip in. You dirty mofo. What's up, brother man?
Those that fall under me from Hialeah PD, Miami Police Department. Our TFOs from Hialeah and Miami in particular are very good at perfecting Hobbs Act robberies, which is the commercial robbery cases. We have other TFOs, special deputies like from Broward County Sheriff's Office, Pembroke Pines, and we're looking to constantly bring on some more. I have a crew of TFOs that work for me in Puerto Rico. I have approximately 25 of those that are scattered between the 3 groups. They are a relationship enhancer, relationship builder. Those guys, just like the ones with High to South.
Those guys will shoot your dog as quick as any ATF agent. I'm telling you. Sam, what's happening? What's going on, mother?
They pretty much will do anything you ask them with their realm of experience is incredible. So my main thing is just making sure that the TFO relationship stays the way it is. The production stays the same. And it's the nature of the relationship to me is it's almost like a peer-to-peer exchange. Our people can learn from them and they can learn from us.
And they can all kill dogs with the best of them. So hell, what part was that again? Let's see. Of course it doesn't hold my place. Was that 7? That had to be 7. Let's go to 8. How does yeah, there we go. Whatever the HIDTA. Someone can Google that shit.
High intensity drug trafficking.
high intensity drug trafficking. Why is the ATF involved in that? That's a DEA kind of deal, isn't it?
High intensity drug trafficking area is actual acronym. HIDA factors into what ATF Miami does by providing funds, intelligence, and I have 2 supervisors that oversee so-called HIDA groups. These groups focus on more of the long-term investigations that impact violence.
Brother Gizzard, what's happening? Yeah, Chambers, you're 100% right. Why do we need one if each one of these is not like the other? Why do we need one if we have all these together?
Violent crime. So it could range anywhere from the undercover robbery scenario, wiretaps, longer term undercover purchases to initiate.
Now, when he talks about wiretaps, and this has been an open session in Congress, the government collects every bit of your electronic communication, every single bit, and they can run queries on it. So all that information's there, and the FBI has already proven they run through that data whenever they want, no warrant or anything. They just search it. I will guarantee you the ATF is doing the same damn thing. DEA is a drug enforcement agency. They're the ones who are supposed to cover drug crime.
Initiate a wiretap. It could be just tackling gang problems in a certain region as identified by the police department, like we have in Fort Lauderdale.
Hold on, Dark just threw a paragraph out there. Hold on. The hell? What in the world? Face, droopy eye, purple crying face, orange whistling cat. That must be like emojis that just came out in text. Either that or I took something I shouldn't have and I'm tripping balls right now. Oh yeah, a buddy of mine was talking to him. I was talking to him today. He's like, man, a lot of these big ammo companies, man, they're just not putting out ammo. So yeah, they're putting it out, brother, but they're putting it out to government agencies. Look at how many rounds the freaking IRS and other agencies are purchasing right now. Them motherfuckers are gearing up for some shit. Yeah, I thought so, Dark. It had to be, because either that or fuck me running. Those gummies hit me a little harder than I thought.
Occasionally. It's more along the lines of more long-term investigations.
Oh, that was 8. I'm pretty sure. So, or was it 9? Hold on, let's see. I'll hit 9 again. Yeah, this is it. So, how is the relationship between ATF and federal partners? The people who kick your door in for a paperwork violation because you put a comma in the wrong place or some shit. Maybe you abbreviated a state. Maybe you just voted for the wrong person.
Working with the federal partners here, I mean, it's not really that bad per se. I mean, we have a really good relationship with FBI where we have an understanding. We do OCDEF cases with them on a regular basis. We have a good relationship with Secret Service in and of the fact that we enhance video through them or whatever support they need.
So they enhance video through the... Good to know. Oh, let's back that up.
Basis. We have a good relationship with Secret Service and
Secret Service. They enhance video through them. Tree Saw, what's up, brother? I'm smoking cheap fucking cigars because I'm broke as a bitch and wanted a cigar and can't afford a real cigar.
of the fact that we enhance video through them or whatever support they need. We have a good relationship with DEA right now because DEA is venturing into the violent crime four-ways with some of the initiatives that they're having pushed down from their headquarters. Very good relationship with HSI with the understanding that, we have the MOU with them, and particularly we need them to go to the ports through CBP. Greatest successes, I would say, come from our partnerships, previously mentioned with Miami Gardens, some of the Title III wiretaps with High to South, the fact that sometimes we may look at undercover.
I thought these days it was called a bonus hole. At least that's what I heard. Yeah, you're right, DOD. They enhance video of their own guys out there doing shit. Hey, it was Patriot Front. Where them Proud Boys at? 3%ers, maybe? There's Grandma with her little flag walking between the ropes and not doing anything. She may have one point in her life bumped into a cop on the subway, and she deserves to go to prison. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. So, I can't keep up with this stuff these days. Chest feeding and bonus holes and boner holes and what can I say?
Robbery scenario, and we take it off by other means. I would say a lot of our relationships are probably at the highest point that they've been in a long time. And it's a culmination of just constantly working with these agencies and the fact that they have that certain willingness and acceptance of ATF. Some people call us America's toughest feds. I call us just the best partner available.
Oh, seriously, his girlfriend? I was going to make a joke, but I won't make it. Anyway, nice to meet you, Tresaw. I got a joke with seriously. Basically, anybody who has a good sense of humor, I get to fuck with. And those who don't have good sense of humor don't tend to hang out with me long. Let me get rid of a bunch of BS here. Where's that? Let's go to the next one. Was that? I think that was 9, wasn't it? So there's 11 parts of this. Let's go to 10. Does the diversity in Miami present any challenges? Yeah, motherfuckers don't speak English. Fuck do you think? Welcome to the Thunderdome. Yeah, just about.
The diversity.
Tresaw, I will say this. You came in on a very mild stream because we're not like listening to congressional hearings where I completely snap out and damn near go Alex Jones ripping shirts and shit. Yeah.
Evident Miami doesn't necessarily present you that many challenges as long as you're willing to interact and learn. For me, I don't quite speak Spanish the way I should.
Remember, kids, diversity is our strength.
Spanish in probably junior high, but I took Portuguese as 4 semesters. I took Portuguese 4 semesters at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, so I'm somewhat conversant with it. That's one side of it. We do have a high population of individuals from the Caribbean, Virgin Islands. We have a high Cuban population, so I think you have to be open-minded as you function down here and you move forward with your relationships, your investigations more than anything else.
You have to be really open-minded to put people who are not violent and are no threat to the public in prison. So that was, that was 9. I think that was 9, wasn't it? I'm going to lose track of everything. Let's see, this is 10. No, so that was 10. So we got to go to 11. So this is the last one for this. Excuse you. So what's this one? What advice would you give someone who is thinking about coming specifically to Miami to work for the ATF? You are going to have to shoot more than dogs. You might have to shoot alligators, maybe a couple big cats, not the small ones. That's pretty much the only pussy they like. They stepped up the pace of the music, man.
For those people who are looking to come on the job, go through the academy, come to Miami, be ready to work. You need to be flexible. You will learn a lot here depending on what group.
You have to be flexible to stick your head in your own ass. Just laying it out there.
You're in. The thing I tell my people all the time, which they get upset about, answer your phone because it's going to ring. And I think my main thing about it,
kicking in Dark's door, it's that Tannerite dog. Don't shoot the dog. I know it's fluffy. I know it's, wagging its tail and everything. Don't shoot the dog. It's going to be bad.
is you just need to be willing to work and keep an open mind, because as a management team, we're not going to ask you to do anything that between me, the actual SAC, and the other ASAC haven't done ourselves, and our cadre supervisors are pretty much.
Yeah, they're not going to ask you to throw anybody in jail they wouldn't throw in jail themselves.
Much the same way.
So that was like their profile and courage or whatever that showed up on my stream. So yeah, that's one of your local ATF agents that'll throw people like Matt Hoover in prison for being an nonviolent individual who's no threat to the public, who merely had the audacity to make fun of government. See Wiz in our kitchen. Yeah, that'd be nice. Be a little hard to work around, though. That's a big son of a bitch. Better have a big house. I wouldn't mind having one mounted on my roof. Might scare the shit out of the UPS guy, though. Especially if that fucker locked in on his truck. Yee. I guarantee you he would drop more than just a package. Although he might take whatever else he dropped with him. UPS guy, FedEx guys, I don't know. Gasoline sprinkler system, that would be nice too. Maybe something a little bit more flammable than gas, though. What's more flammable than gas? Kerosene, maybe. Is what it is. Tactical FUD, what's up, brother man? Let's see. So there was something else I wanted to share the other day. And what was it? You guys are dealing with a freaking squirrel. Safer Community. Was it the Safer Community Act? What was it? We did Mock v. Garland. That was good. We did the 7th Circuit. Which one was this one? Hold on, I'll click on something. We're going to find out what it is together. U.S. Court of Appeals, Friday, March 10th. Goddamn, which one was this?
The Honorable, the Judges of the United States Court of Appeals for the 4th Circuit. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. All persons having any manner or form of business before the Honorable the United States Court of Appeals for the 4th Circuit are admonished to draw nigh and give their attention, for the court is now sitting. God save the United States and this honorable court.
God save the Queen. Oh, fuck, wrong plugging tree. Yeah, Dark. Yeah, the internet's forever.
Morning. Welcome to the 4th Circuit. Please be seated.
I still can't remember which case this was.
Judge Keenan, can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can, Judge Agee. Thank you.
All right, Good to see you. We're ready to have argument in our first case, Maryland shall issue versus
Oh,
Moore.
shit.
Mr. Nardone.
Now, I think we might have listened to this one already on another stream, but this case is apparently on the road to getting picked up by the Supremes. So this will be interesting. We might listen to this again. God save the tweens. Well, you know, with the way politicians and judges and people in power are these days, I wouldn't say you were wrong. Methanol gas, can't see it burn. You know, I can produce methanol. It's not very hard. All right, Dark, take it easy, brother. We'll see you tonight, man. Unless I get tied up with something with the fam, I'll be there. The tweens blood, got to get that androchrome. That's going to get me flagged. Like I'm not already.
Be glad to hear from you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honors.
So just so you guys understand, this is the Maryland, I can't remember, is this Maryland shall issue? Anyway, this is one of the cases that's headed to the Supremes. It just come up the other day, probably end of last week. There were some guys, I think 4 Boxes Diner might have done something on it, and a couple other guys. Yeah, Waco was one of those situations I didn't understand at the time. I really didn't. I was actually homeschooling at the time. And home just about every day, watching this Branch Davidian standoff. Everything come down to they could have picked this dude up at the local coffee shop, or when he was jogging, they didn't have to go in there and try to do their dynamic entry and then have everything go to shit and burn a bunch of women and children alive. And no one ever answers for that. Yeah, that's awful nice of our government.
Please, the court. My name is Mark Nardone. I'm here today to argue on behalf of the plaintiffs and appellants in this case. At the outset, it is critical.
Okay. And I got to say this as we're talking about the Branch Davidians. One, I think David Koresh was nuttier than a fucking squirrel turd. Two, after realizing through the years what our government does, I believed jack shit about what our government says about these guys. And three, it was no excuse to kill women and children trying to do your fucking dynamic entry when you could have got this guy alone at a coffee shop without an issue. But the government had to try to prove they had the bigger dick at the time, and that's what it was. Yeah, I really think David Koresh was a fucking nutbag. I really do. He had some serious mental stuff going on. While my phone rings. We'll let this play. Let me mute myself.
That we distinguish what is and is not at issue in this appeal. This appeal is not about the constitutionality of background checks. This appeal is not about the constitutionality of what may or may not be required of an individual seeking to carry a firearm in public. What this case is about is whether or not the government may require law-abiding, responsible citizens to obtain permission from the government to be able to undergo a background check that permits them to acquire a handgun. Your Honors, under the standard that was set forth in
Can I ask you that why are you going that far? Right? Because it seems like to me that your argument instead is that they can't do this, right? Which is a narrower question, right? You said they may require permission at all. But what they've done here is they're requiring permission after waiting 30 days.
It is.
And so it might well, at least help me understand, it might well look different if that permission was virtually instantaneous, right? So if there was a computerized background check that was done in some form or fashion that was virtually instantaneous, didn't require them to leave the store, for example, that might be a different constitutional problem than one that takes 30 days. Is that?
That's absolutely right, Your Honor. And it's also critical that the handgun qualification license, what is at issue in this case, does not allow an individual to acquire a handgun in Maryland. And that's why I think it's important to start with the statutory scheme here of what exactly occurs when a law-abiding citizen seeks to acquire a handgun in Maryland. In Maryland in 1966, enacted a law that required enhanced background checks for individuals who wish to purchase, at issue here, handguns. That involves the provision of a social security number, a driver's license number, your address, all manner of identifying information. It requires a 7-day waiting period. And it also, as of 2000, required a viewing of a 1-hour video. All of that is still required. And that is the process that an individual who wishes to acquire a handgun needs to undergo. And that I believe,
Just so I understand, you have not yet challenged that requirement.
that has not been challenged, Your Honor. That is not at issue in this case whatsoever. At issue is the law that was enacted in 2013. In 2013, this.
So to be sure I understand the factual context here. If I'm a citizen of Maryland and just suppose someone has threatened me or my family, and I want to obtain a handgun to defend myself in my own home, I have to wait the 7 days and the 30 days, be fingerprinted, get the background check, pay the fee before I can obtain the firearm.
It's actually an even longer process than that, Your Honor. The way that it works in Maryland currently is that before you are able to file an application for a handgun qualification license, you are required to attend training that lasts a minimum of 4 hours and can only be conducted at a location that allows for the discharge of live ammunition, thus prohibiting in the major city in Maryland, Baltimore.
Who pays for that?
That is paid for by the individual seeking the license, and the fee is set by the trainer. It is not set by statute. The discovery in this case indicated that the fees can range upwards of hundreds of dollars. After that training is completed, an individual receives a certificate.
How available are those sites?
That would depend on the availability of the trainer themselves. So the way that it is statutorily set up is that individuals are qualified as handgun instructors. They then instruct at locations, and that is dependent on their schedule.
Hold on just a second, counsel. Rachel, we're not showing any time here.
Oh, it's up on the screen there, sir.
Yeah, these judges, this panel, which I actually think this panel ruled for the appellates that were against this shit. I think they actually did rule for. But yeah, these judges are frustrating as shit sometimes, the way they'll stop some of the attorneys. I mean, some of the attorneys are just frustrated as shit because even the ones that are for, say they're for guns, really don't know jack shit about guns. Woods, what's up, brother man? I didn't see you slip in either.
Oh, I got it. All right, thank you. My bad. Go ahead.
Of course, Your Honor. They are as available as the instructors are. Now, I will candidly admit we do not have evidence in the record as to whether there are gaps, but we do know that there is an issue that individuals who are in Baltimore City, for example, cannot simply travel to a close by site for their training because they must go somewhere that permits them to discharge a firearm under the regulations adopted by the Maryland State Police.
So what about the fingerprinting? Does the applicant have to pay for that?
They do, Your Honor, and that is also not a fee set by statute. The fingerprinting is also required before the handgun qualification license application can be submitted.
Where do you do it?
You can do it at any one of the state's live scan vendors, which are all privately operated, and they can charge whatever fee that they wish.
Okay. Mr. Nardone?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to consider your argument in the context of Justice Thomas's and Supreme Court's footnote number 9 in Bruin. And it seems to me that the court laid out a path for us to consider in terms of shall issue regimes. In other words, laws that have a narrow objective focus rather than the kind of discretion that was at play in Bruin, where the court would make you show just cause and the state could turn you down anyway. And so I think the Supreme Court in footnote 9 was saying,
Yeah, Brother Woods, I got you, man. Thanks for stopping in. I'm going to smoke too, but I'm off work, so I'm going to smoke a lot.
that in the case of a shall issue regime, where the criteria are narrow and focused, that there isn't a problem unless there is a too lengthy waiting period or an exorbitant fee. The court seems to leave a kind of a catch phrase at the end saying that there can be conditions that make a shall issue law unconstitutional, even though shall issue laws generally will pass constitutional muster.
I like how these people talk about, a shall issue passes constitutional muster. There's nothing in the Second Amendment about having to get a permission slip from the government, no matter what. Even, was it 60 something or was it 80 something? Felons could get guns until that time, even with a so-called background check, whatever they were doing at the time. Felons could get guns. That prohibition didn't come in until way later, and I still haven't figured out exactly where they got all that. It's wadding from before 10. It's frustrating.
So take us analytically through footnote 9 and with your argument. Is your argument solely then that these conditions are too exorbitant as to fee and too lengthy as to waiting period? And
yes, if you make someone wait to be able to have their Second Amendment right, that is an infringement. That's not constitutional. Remember, there's this document, Constitution, shall not be infringed, all that shit. I thought it was 86, Gabber. There were some things in 68, but I thought it was 86 when it was actually felons.
And that's what renders it unconstitutional, and that if the waiting period was shorter and the fee was lesser, it would not be?
Your Honor, I think there's a few things there, and I'm happy to address that. Number one is I think that the test that's set out in Bruin that must be applied in all Second Amendment cases, regardless of the manner in which the evaluation is to happen, is the text, history, and tradition test. And under that test, if the challenged law is a novel attempt at addressing an old problem, it is unconstitutional. If the
Yeah, Gabber, you may be right there. They stopped them from FFLs, but there was still no prohibition on criminals or felons actually having the gun. They just couldn't buy from FFLs in 68.
challenge law could have been acted at the time of ratification. There's no question that had the government wished in 1791 to enact legislation that would require citizens to obtain permission before undergoing a background check, which establishes whether or not they are a permitted possessor, then they could have. And there is simply no historical tradition of that. But no, I would say does not go as far as to countenance all shall issue jurisdictions or statutes. Rather, it is an acknowledgement that what was at issue in Bruin was a particular problem, the problem of government discretion. And so there's that number 9.
And do we have government discretion?
No, you don't have government discretion, Judge. You don't. Period. all the so-called balancing tests and all that were taken into account when the Second Amendment was written. They went back and forth about all these things. When you read letters that the founders sent, and you have the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, and they're going back and forth. These letters are going back and forth. All these balancing tests were taken into account then. Second Amendment went through a couple of revisions, and then it was put in the final draft, and they agreed upon the language, the meaning of those words. Militia being necessary for a free state, meaning states had the right to have their militias. The right of the people, it was the people. And people talk about, well, it was only white men at the time. Okay. But here's the deal about constitutional protections like that. You can't shrink them to a class. You can't just say, well, it's only white Christians. But you can expand it and say, okay, come here, black people. Here, you guys can own guns now. Rock and roll with your bad selves. Anybody comes wearing a white robe, light that ass up. You can do that. Women, all right. Hey, you guys have these rights now. You have guns, vote, all this shit. You can expand that right to cover more people and be constitutional. You can't shrink that right to be lesser than what it was when it was written. If you want to be constitutional about things. Although I think our government has proved many, many times they don't give a rat's ass about constitutional restraints, none of that shit. They're going to do what they want, and then they're going to tell you, well, hell, if you don't like it, go to court. And here's the thing about the court. Unless you are trapped up in one of these things, the court will tell you, you don't have standing, get out of my courtroom. Yeah, prohibition was another one that was unconstitutional. Even though they made a constitutional amendment and banned alcohol, they had to go back on that shit because people weren't compliant. But during the course of prohibition, our government actually put materials out there that were being turned into alcohol. And they made sure that if these things were turned into alcohol, they would poison people, kill them, make them blind, all that shit. Our government put that out there. So our government literally poisoned people. And I'm supposed to trust them. No.
Here? Or do we simply have a waiting period that is too long, in your view, and a cost to qualify as too expensive?
Your Honor, I don't think it comes into the purview of footnote number 9 because we are not dealing with the same situation of licensing that we were dealing with in Bruin.
Exactly, and that's what footnote 9 is addressing. It's saying that although the court in the New York statute in Bruin was called to pass on a may issue statute,
Get him, Ting.
The court is saying nothing in this analysis shall cause us to question the constitutionality of shall issue regimes unless they are exorbitant in fees. In fact, the court even says that fingerprinting requirements and background training are not a problem unless the fees are exorbitant and the waiting periods are excessive. I mean, the court very clearly in that footnote talks about fingerprinting and says that that's not a problem unless there are barriers imposed by the state.
Well, yeah, Sam, that's exactly what they're doing. That's why these judges can come in here and interpret words to mean the exact opposite of what they actually mean. What's up, Ski?
Hello.
That's why like this judge who, the Seventh Circuit, we're going to get burnt there. Yeah, Monkey's here. So we're going to get burnt in the Seventh Circuit. That judge in Oregon who just upheld, ballot measure 114. yeah, still just injected her own feelings into that case and had nothing to do with constitutional powers. But hey, that's what happened. All right, get on out of here.
So it seems to me that based on this footnote, and tell me why this isn't correct if it isn't, but it seems to me like based on this footnote, there's a different kind of analysis that the Bruin needs to be tweaked
Why are
a
you
little
wearing
bit
my
because
SDI shirt?
the majority
This was
opinion in
mine.
Bruin
That's
dealt with
mine.
a
No,
may
this
issue
was green.
regime.
I had
We have
two.
a
We
shall
talked about
issue.
this.
In other
I think
words,
she's lying to me.
if you pass the background
You
check
lied to me.
and
You
you
said you weren't
pass
going to be on
the
podcast with you tonight.
No, I
Ask
said I
the
didn't have one to
training.
do tonight.
the state can't
And
say
I told you while you were
haven't
driving
shown
here, I was
just
goofing off
cause. The
online.
state's got to issue it.
Your Honor, I think
And so so are you agreeing
No,
then that
Do me a favor,
footnote
take off those
9
gross out of the way.
I'm not doing any favors.
puts your argument in the category?
Not a favor. Just take it, throw it in the microwave for about 15 minutes. And I'll do the rest.
Of saying that the fees are too much
Get out of here.
and impose too great a burden,
Hmm.
and the waiting period is too long.
not at all, Your Honor. I'm saying that this case does not fit within that framework
Oh, now
whatsoever.
what was
Because
here?
the license that we are talking about is fundamentally different
Tablet even
than the
charged?
license that was at issue in Bruin. In Bruin,
Right, but I'm asking you about footnote 9.
I guess so.
Footnote 9 is drawing the distinction
That's what
with
that
the
is.
majority holding in Bruin,
Your Honor,
and
the
talks
license,
about fingerprinting, and talks
I
about,
scratched the paint on my truck.
and talks
Who'd
about
use that for?
training.
Your Honor, the
And,
license-
and you haven't addressed footnote 9.
Get in
Would
my
you
truck,
please
phone.
address your argument in the context of
Backwards.
footnote 9?
Thank you, Your Honor. In Bruin, the license at issue allowed.
Perhaps another way to ask that question is footnote 9, a generic Second Amendment framework, or is footnote 9 directed
I have to dig. I'm
to
not-
that
You're not having to
case,
dig.
which was
At what?
a public carry
What
case?
am I doing?
Your Honor, I think that it is different for a number of reasons. Number one, there's obviously a difference between
Turned it on
licenses to
airplane
carry and
mode
licenses
again.
to possess, because the interests that are at issue are different when you are carrying outside the home and versus not. However, we need to make clear that the license at issue in Bruin permits an individual to carry a firearm as soon as it is issued. And the license here is not that. That is why it is fundamentally different than what was at issue in Bruin, and that is why footnote number 9 does
Mike
not
McClain,
have
what's up,
relevance
my
to this
brother?
particular case. What we are dealing with here is not a license that permits someone to acquire a firearm. If you have a handgun qualification license and you receive it in the mail on Monday morning, and you immediately go to your closest federal firearms licensee and you attempt to buy a handgun, you cannot do it. You cannot walk out of the store that day with that handgun. It is
Why
not
do I get?
the
Why
same
do I have to
license.
get that license? In the first
Rather,
place?
what this
Well-
license does is it
Thanks,
permits
Mark.
an individual to undergo the background check that ostensibly determines whether or not they are permitted to acquire a firearm. And we know that because when one goes to purchase it, the provision of the handgun qualification license is insufficient to permit them to walk out the door with their handgun. And so, Your Honor, I don't think footnote number 9 here is controlling. But moreover, I think footnote number 9 is more narrow than this. I think what it is saying is that issue before the court in Bruin was whether or not may issue licenses are permissible. And therefore, there is no reason for the court's decision to have had any impact on shall issue jurisdictions. I think that is all that footnote number 9 is saying. And at the end, it obviously allows for challenges where a shall issue jurisdiction could still violate the Second Amendment. I think that, Your Honors, is a recognition that regardless of whether this is a may or shall issue case, what the court needs to look at is the effect of the law. And whether or not the effect of the law is to impose an unconstitutional burden on the right to acquire a handgun.
Take it off me?
And in this case, like every other Second Amendment case, the mechanism by which that determination is made is evaluating the historical tradition of firearms ownership and the rights afforded by the Second Amendment. Your Honors, there is no historical analog, tradition,
I know, I got a
or
shark.
anything
I ain't sure.
related to the idea that an individual
So
needs
you had
permission from the government to be allowed to undergo the background check that determines that they are in
They're
fact
good enough to
eligible
post
to
it.
possess a firearm. This is akin to requiring a permit for a permit.
Judge
Sorry.
Mr. Nardone, briefly before you sit down, is your position that the different requirements of the statute are severable?
No, Your Honor, I don't think they are.
You're
They,
saying they have to rise and fall together, and why is that?
I think that the entire handgun qualification license scheme is in fact unconstitutional for the reasons that I said. It is not permissible to require, Your Honor, may I finish? I see my time is finished.
Go ahead, please.
It is not permissible to require an individual under the auspices of ensuring that they are not a prohibited person to first seek out permission from the government to be able to undergo that inquiry. That is what we are talking about here, and that vel non is unconstitutional. But the individual components, the fingerprinting, the class, those are unconstitutional in and of themselves because there is no historical tradition of those. But the entire statute itself is unconstitutional, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, and let me ask you just one other thing for you to consider on rebuttal. Should this case be remanded to the district court to make the determinations that you're asking a court to make today?
Your Honor, I'm happy to answer that now, but if you prefer, I can wait to rebuttal.
Go ahead. That way your opposing counsel can have the benefit.
Your Honor, no, I don't believe a remand here would be appropriate. We are dealing with a question that involves legislative, not adjudicated facts. This case was briefed after Bruin came down. The government was able to provide whatever citations to whatever sources that it felt was necessary to meet its burden under Bruin to demonstrate the constitutionality of this case. On remand, any issue would be under the same evidence that it would have presented here, and any appeal from that remand would be de novo by this court. I don't see any situation in which a remand would do anything other than waste judicial resources to arrive back here at the exact same posture that we are now.
In other words, court, you need to decide on
unless there are
this
any
now
questions,
instead
I
of
would
sending
reserve
it back to the lower.
You've got rebuttal time. Thank you, Mr. Dietrich.
Your Honor, may it please the court.
Can you start with the last two questions that Judge Keenan asked of your colleague? And the first being, who bears the burden to establish severance? Have you argued that this statute is severable? And
I
if you
didn't say
haven't
a word.
argued it, can you help us understand why we should consider
I
a severance or
didn't say a
severability
word.
argument at this particular stage? And then second, the question that Judge Keenan asked your colleague about remand. I noticed in your brief here, you did not ask for a remand. At no point did you request a remand. And it stands in stark contrast with the same brief or similar brief you filed in Bianchi within a week of this brief, where you did ask for a remand. And so I sort of take that as been a conscious choice to not ask for a remand, given the proximity of two briefs from Maryland, both addressing Second Amendment cases,
you're right.
both following Bruin.
I couldn't remember
wanted to give you a chance to comment
remember
on
whether it
both.
was 68 or
I'll take
what,
the
when that
remand
came
question
through.
first, which is that to the extent there's evidence necessary to resolve the question, I think it's in the brief and in the record below. There was discovery. There was no discovery in Bianchi, none at all.
No, I understand. I think that's right. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something from your end.
Right, but your discovery was.
Take it easy, Bacon.
In this case, yes, it was.
So there would have been no reason to have elicited the information that Bruin would seem to require.
But I think we're talking about two different things, possibly. In Bianchi, we were talking about evidence of the historical tradition at issue there, and whether there were statutes that supported restrictions on types of weapons, and that was the.
And also the empirical question of whether these firearms were in themselves in common use. I mean, that's an empirical question that evidence had not been developed on in the record below.
That's correct, and their utility for self-defense and things of that nature. They went to that historical tradition. Here, the discovery down below was about the whether this burden was onerous on the applicants. And what the evidence showed was that when we compared pre-HQL, pre-Firearm Safety Act of 2013, and post that act, we saw that people were getting handguns at a higher rate.
How does that relate to the Bruin standard?
It relates to the Bruin standard because, well, there's a few Bruin standards, I think, floating around here. The Bruin standard of history and tradition is one thing. The Bruin, what we'll call.
And you've got to cross that bridge first.
And I understand that. And
your brief seems quite sparse on historical analogs in the founding era.
The historical tradition here, let's see, Judge, I'll answer your question.
No, please, I'm sorry. Answer Judge Agee's question first.
The historical tradition is the substantive limitations that are further
No,
by,
I actually
by
bragged
the
about you
HQL
with somebody
and
on
those
Twitter
are
about that.
ensuring that dangerous,
Because they were talking about
subversive,
diamond
non-virtuous, however you want to describe it, folks do not get deadly firearms, and ensuring that the tradition of firearm competency that was alive and well at the founding and before that.
What founding era analog do you have from any of the states that a citizen was required to have a permit from the government before they could have a handgun in their home?
I'm now going to call him the
The historical analogs relate to the substantive limitations that are part of the historical, robust historical tradition of the Second Amendment.
Well, why don't you give us an example?
Used in a positive way.
We look at.
I don't know, because our kiddos were sharing us doing it the other night.
That related
Not
to
in a positive light.
individuals who were required to take a loyalty oath or be disarmed at the time of the founding. We look at.
But that's after the fact, right?
Yeah, too many choices. It's like, and I've talked about on stream, when I was a prohibited person, I wouldn't have hurt a single person with a firearm. I just wanted to go hunting. I suck at bow hunting. Seems like whenever I try to bow hunt, deer stay about 90 yards out, won't come in. And whenever I'm, rifle hunting, they're underneath my stand looking at me. So it's a kind of one of those things that just pisses you off. But, and when I was locked up, dude, there was one dude who was in there for that particular reason. He got in trouble on some other shit. He was running late to the damn get the hunting one morning and was speeding, got pulled over. Cop asked him, "Hey, you got any guns in the car?" And yeah, he had his deer rifle. And that dude ended up doing, I think, another 2 years over that. Now, he might have fucked up big time before. Do I think he should go back to jail for a gun? No. I don't. If you're safe enough to be on the street, you should have every one of your rights, voting, guns, you name it. If you go murder innocent people just to do it, or you were robbing them and murdered innocent people, you should be in jail for a really fucking long time. It shouldn't be this 3-year gig and then you get back out to do the same shit. Gabber, I got it was a long story. Anyway, I got charged with the biggest charge was felony obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Long story. Dude hit his wife. I was really drunk. I kicked a cop. That's like the Reader's Digest version of that deal. So yeah, I spent quite a few years as a prohibited person, prohibited possessor. Z, what's going on, brother man? Huh? What? I'm not even going there. When have you heard me go there?
You did not even tell me it was your mother that told me that.
Yes.
Which I find stupid because I'd have snitched on that motherfucker in a minute.
Yes, there were some extenuating circumstances that I don't talk about in that whole event. And my wife's back there. The fucking bobcat, I swear to God. Gabber, I got my rights back because Georgia has what they call a retroactive first offender law. And I had been out, done my probation. I spent 5 years on probation. I spent 2 years going to the probation office and spent, son of a bitch, from 2003 to 2017 or so? I get it back. Yeah, like 2017, 2018. without my rights or firearms rights.
Yeah, we had
Yeah, I mean, we had. Here's one of the funny things. So,
yes, because you got your 1911 17.
so 17. Okay, so.
Because I was stealing money out of your account for it.
But here's the funny thing. The real day I was supposed to go to court was the first weekend that Georgia ever had a gator season. And the trouble happened before then. I didn't put in for tags that I didn't know where I was going to be. But anyway, my lawyer told me call them that morning. So Friday morning, I call them. They tell me, hey, don't show up today. So I called up my buddy and was like, hey, man, we can hunt. So we hunted down Lake Seminole. We ended up with 3 tags, my buddy, his dad, and one of the friends of the family. And we ended up taking, I think the biggest gator we took was 8.8. First gator season we ever got to play around. So, let me see. We drove down to Seminole Friday night, hunted. We may have stopped south of Seminole before. Anyway, we hunted down there. Come back late Sunday night. And there's a sheriff's car I see leaving the area of my home. That's weird. I didn't find out until years later that everybody that the lawyers told not to show that morning, the judge put bench warrants out on. So I had a bench warrant for over a decade that I didn't know about. And finally looked shit up. Sure enough, because you can look up warrants and stuff on the local, the Muskogee County website. Muskogee County, Georgia, kids. And yeah, I was there with my bright smiling face. Yeah, this dude warrant. So I had to pay a couple $100 to get the warrant off me. And that was a year or so before I heard about the retroactive first offender deal and then got all of my rights back, which took paying a lawyer, and a lawyer called the DA that was on my case and a couple other people and said, hey, this dude hadn't fucked up in well over a decade. He had no kind of criminal record before that. Let's squash this shit. And they did. And a month later, I bought my 1911 because I'm getting to it, woman, because my mom and my wife saved up the money for me to get that gun. Part of that money was supposed to be chicken money, but we ended up buying my 1911 and my wife's side-by-side Fox 12-gauge shotgun. So we bought 2 guns that day. Bear Automotive, Butler, Georgia, because I was living in Georgia at the time, so there was no kind of, out-of-state purchase for the pistol. It was, boom, we were done. My background check for my gun, did I do both? I think I did both on mine. And background check took less than 10 minutes. And I was,
I don't know.
I think I did both on mine.
I can't remember why though.
Because we were just making the purchase at the same time. It just made it easier for the cashier, basically. Or going back and forth, couldn't remember whether I bought the 1911 on me and the shotgun on her. I think I did both on that single purchase. Hold on, Gavin. My stepdad arrested breaking into his own car. Got back from Iraq. Gavin, you can normally get it everywhere I've seen, just about. You can get your gun rights back. It's just a question of money. And that's what it comes down to. Like I said, my lawyer, the one I got when I got my rights back, all he did was make a couple phone calls. That's all he did. Cost me about $2,300, $2,500, well worth the money, so that I got all my stuff back. But Yeah, he can get his rights back. It's just a question of money. That's all it is. Money and a lawyer. Criminal lawyer, especially if you can find a dude who's been plugged into all the DAs and shit like that. You walk in, hey, here's this. I want my shit back. And it was funny because when my lawyer looked at my stuff, I brought all my case stuff in there, all documents, shit. He looked at him sitting there and he was like, really? You went to jail? I went, yeah, I did. He was like, for this? Yeah, for that. He was like, well, shit, you got fucked. And yeah, pretty much.
Right. So that's, if you don't do something, we're going to take your gun from you. Right. So, for example, if you commit a felony, we will then require you to turn your guns in. All right. That's fine, but that's not pre-clearance, right?
No, and I understand that. If I could just get out that when I talk about two Bruin standards, the second Bruin standard is the one that's in footnote 9.
Right. So
look, there's really only one Bruin standard. If it involves the Second Amendment, you look at text and history, and if there is no analog to text and history, the law doesn't stand. Period. It's very simple. You hear these guys, they get in, especially lawyers for the state, they'll state stuff about Heller and stuff. That's why I say Heller was just, it was a punt. But here we are.
I want to go there. I still want you to come back and talk to me about whether you've tried to assert severability. But if you want to go to footnote 9, your argument, as I understand it, is that footnote 9 is an exception to Bruin's history and text test. Is that we don't have to look at history and tradition? That
I didn't realize I was going to go into this again, because remember, the only reason I'm playing this again is because this stuff is headed to the Supreme Court. More than likely. It's basically 98%. They're going to pick this case up because, the state's pushing it. But I should have pulled up these documents that he's talking about and been able to show them. But it is what it is, kids. This is we rolled this stuff raw.
The whole opinion in Bruin carves out an exception in footnote 9 and says a different standard applies. Is that how you're asking us to read footnote 9?
No, it's not. How we're asking you to look at it is that we want you to look at history and tradition. Bruin commands us to do so. And that history and tradition is talking about how it's furthered by the HQL license in respect to two historical traditions.
In the mirror.
One is restricting those who are dangerous or contrary to public safety from getting handguns. And two, a robust historical tradition of firearm competence.
We got this crazy ass damn hamster. For those of you guys who don't remember, this is the hamster I went to go get that got loose in my truck, and I had to take the entire back seat out of my truck to catch this hamster. There was one enclosure they had the hamster in a couple weeks ago, and she figured out a way to chew a hole and walked out of that. Made it all the way across the house to my office. And we had the mouse in here at the time. And I saw something big go up the mouse cage. And sure enough, it's a hamster. Kids playing around the room the other day, about 2 days ago, undid the top to the mouse cage or the hamster cage. Hamster disappears. My wife said she's doing her hair in our room. There's a mirror there. And all of a sudden she catches something in the mirror and this little head pops up. Hamster made it all the way to our room.
With 4 cats.
With 4 cats in this house. That hamster ran the gauntlet to get where she was going. I'll give her an A for her dedication. But this is like the Houdini hamster. I swear to, it's like her getting loose in my truck. I got to the gun shop where my wife works. My daughter's there. And I just got this hamster. It was a replacement for another hamster that, well, he didn't make it.
Also escaped.
Yeah, he escaped and didn't make it. I'm pretty sure the dog got him. But I get this hamster. I roll to the gun shop. I'm so proud. I'm going to give my daughter this hamster. And I hand her the box. And the sumbitch is empty. The hamster is on the loose. So then I go out to the truck. I'm looking through the truck. My wife's looking through the truck. There are 3 kids looking through the truck because it's my daughter and 2 of the kids from the gun shop. My truck is officially a fucking circus van. My parents live in town. Go to town because I'm in town already. Go to their place. Take my entire back seat out to get this freaking hamster. And if you've ever taken the back seat out of a 06 Ford, it's not easy to take the whole back seat out. There's a little bit of work involved in that shit. It doesn't just fold up, pop out, you're there. Freaking this hamster is seriously Houdini. If I could find little fucking hamster handcuffs, I'm pretty sure the little bastard would escape.
See, and requiring responsible citizens to be trained in use.
Okay. Wife's back there talking. I did have one rat snake get loose in my truck, about a 5.5 footer. Because it's really hard to drive when you've got a snake wrapped up in your steering wheel. I had to let go of something, so I let go of the snake. Kept my hands on the wheel. I'm a responsible fucking driver. And then the rat snake got loose in my truck, and that was a 2-day adventure. Yeah, that was fun too.
Firearms.
So what's that have to do with the analogs they talk about in Bruin? I'm still waiting for any remote founding era statute that had a restriction similar to what we have here.
That's because there is no founding era statute that is even close to a permitting scheme. It wasn't the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, but you have to get a permit.
And I understand your question.
Well, do you have one or not?
We do not have any. We were unable to find any that required advance permission. But when you look at what Bruin is saying, Bruin is giving us the roadmap in footnote 9 about what states are able to do vis-a-vis substantive
separate from history. So in other words,
500 Magnum. What's up, brother man?
But this footnote which says this other case exists out here that's not before us, that you want us to apply that standard instead of the 50 pages of analysis that the court actually engages. Like skip the history and just use this exception to the Bruin test.
We are not saying it's an exception to the Bruin.
I think you are. I mean, I know you don't want to use that word because it's pejorative, right? Like I'm using it for that reason. But how is it not an exception if you're saying, yeah, we've got no history, but look at footnote 9, right? But look at footnote 9. It creates a different path, right? I think earlier it was referred to as a different analysis.
Yeah, the bullet is about
right. Was the statement that was made? There's different analysis that's in footnote 9.
If it'll come up.
Requires history and tradition as a fundamental premise of the substantive limitations that are being addressed there. And I think that's the message that Justice Thomas, the majority in that case, and Justice Kavanaugh and the Chief Justice in the concurrence were saying that when you have substantive limitations,
this is it.
You can have procedural mechanisms.
So we're going to stop this. We're going to listen to something funny, and then I'm going to get out. I got to cook dinner and stuff. But we're going to listen to something fucking funny. We're going to do a screen share. We're going to do the 2 we use. And we're listening to Bill Engvall. If you've never listened to Bill Engvall, you really need to listen to Bill Engvall.
T-ball is kind of like baseball, but it's not. They played on a baseball field. There's 9 positions, but they put like 35 kids out on the field. So you got like 5 first basemen, all right?
Yeah.
Then there's this waist-high tee. They stick a ball on the tee, and the kid smacks the ball off the tee with a metal bat. That's like going hunting. You get up at 3 a.m, walk out to your truck, and a guy hands you a dead deer and goes, "Nice shooting, buddy."
Nice shooting, buddy. Yeah.
It's too easy. At least make it like a piñata, you know? Blindfold the kid, spin him around a couple times.
That could
All right,
be
now
dangerous.
give it a shot, Jimmy.
Kids swinging the bat around.
League ball, your coach could help you out. He'd be in that third base box, and he'd be hollering and struggling like, "All right,
Now, I never played baseball. I never wanted to play baseball. I was kind of a football kind of dude. But I could see where he's coming from, and hopefully, my kids don't ever want to play t-ball. I'll let them play football, something with contact.
All right, come on, get your shoulder square, get that bat back, get a level eye on that ball, get a piece of it. What do you say to a kid hitting the t-ball? Now!
This dude is freaking hysterical.
There's a catcher. I don't know why, because there is no pitcher. But by law, he's required to wear all the protective gear. He's got to wear the... I'm not making this up. He's got to wear the chin guards, the chest pad, the face mask, y'all. He's supposed to wear an athletic supporter with a cup. He's 5 years old. Yeah. They don't make them that small. We had to buy a high school and stuff it with newspapers. The kid wore it on the outside. He looked like Dennis Rodman at a press conference.
I can't say you shouldn't wear it, because even when you're that young, when you get hit in things, it's not real good.
Now, there's a kid who stands in the pitcher's position. Yeah. His nickname is Target, all right?
My son found out the other day.
And we let the kids name their team. So I was coaching my... X would be the Texas Rangers. Like, no, we're the Power Rangers. Like,
and for those of you who are too young to remember the Power Rangers.
Would you shut up? I'm trying
God
to listen.
Bless
You keep interrupting.
You hear my wife in the background.
What a horrible team we have. We got beat by the Legos first game, like 10-0.
Larry's all right, man.
Now, the way T-ball is like baseball is the parents. I'm a firm believer that parents should not be allowed at their kids' baseball game because they don't know how to act.
No parents
and I'll give you a great example.
This is the funniest.
These kids are 5 years old. They're getting a ball hit on at 90 miles an hour. They got one thought: get out of the way. They got a glove that's as big as their head, but that's just for ballast. Trust me.
That's just
I heard a guy yelling at his son. He goes, "Hey, don't be afraid of that ball. It's not going to bite you." And you could just see the kid's mind thinking, "Jesus, it's got teeth." So I get my little Power Rangers out in the field. All right, Power Ranger, everybody listen up. Ball gets hit to you. What do? They go, throw to first base. I go, excellent. First batter up, drills the ball, hits our pitcher in the leg. He drops. He's crying. So I go run out in the field. I go, hey, Jimmy, come on, shake it off. Man, it was an accident, just an accident. But like every little kid, his first words were, he did it on purpose. I go, no, he didn't. Come on. Well, then here comes Jimmy's mom out of the stands. Oh, the moose is loose on the field.
That's one of my favorite lines from the joke.
Oh, my baby, my baby, my baby. And I'm trying to calm her down. I'm like, hey, Mrs. Jimmy's mom.
Yeah, too many choices.
If you keep hollering, he's going to keep crying. She goes, he did it on purpose. I go, yes, ma'am, he did. That little 5-year-old boy was sitting on the bench. I heard him. He said, somebody get me a helmet and a metal bat. That kid is ticking me off.
Gonna wreck him.
So I get everybody settled down. I get Jimmy's mom back in the stands. I go, all right, Power Ranger, everybody listen up. Ball gets hit to you. What do? They go, throw to first base. I go, excellent. Next batter up, drills the ball to the outfield. The entire team runs to the outfield. It's like herding chickens.
Well, you said chickens, but I said.
And these games go on forever. Why? Because everybody can hit, but nobody can catch.
There's someone in the background go, yes.
Me and the other dads came up with street rules. 6 errors, that's an out. You know, if a kid catches a hot grounder and holds it up for his parents to see, 2 outs. If half the team's crying, the other half's peed their pants, game over, snow cones for everybody.
Yeah, time to go get pizza. Notice he didn't say everybody gets trophy.
And now my son and I have joined this group called Indian Guides.
Oh, this is
now Indian Guides is a group that was founded through the YMCA. Yeah, it's a great group. It was founded to foster the bond between a father and his son until the son is old enough to be taken to a bar. All right.
Mine's got a ways to go.
And every Monday night we go and we dress up like Indians and we learn about the Native American Indian style. It's like Halloween every Monday night. And we all have names. Like there's a guy in our group who sells tires. His name is Big Wheel. His son's name is Little Wheel. I'm a comedian. My name is Big Laughs. My son's name is Little Laughs. Now, the problem is we live in Los Angeles. So we have to go to the Hollywood chapter, which is different.
Hey, look, rednecks only go for
Our
cousins,
leader's name is
500.
Dances with Men. All right.
Sisters are out of
And obviously he doesn't have a son, so he brings his nephew Flaming Bow. Nice kid.
it. That could be a name for a bunch
And
of
it's
kids.
really cool. We go to these meetings and you have to like talk in Indian Sign Language. And I learned some. I'll teach it to you. If you put your hand over your heart and move your hand like this means hello. If you extend your arm and raise your hand, this means goodbye. If you put your thumb to your lower lip and go like this means I need another beer.
I can see.
And the kids are involved in this. There's a kid who's an Indian drummer. He opens a ceremony by banging a ceremonial drum, and he closes the ceremony by banging a ceremonial drum. There's a kid who's the Indian runner. His job is when he sees a dad go like this,
beer.
Go to the cooler.
Smart kid.
So we go to our first meeting, and they want you to sit Indian style. Do you remember Indian style when you sit with your legs crossed on them? Well, my legs don't bend that way anymore. So I'm kind of kicked back in the reclining position. Yeah. Well, here comes Dances with Men. Excuse me.
I don't think that's the way.
I don't believe that's the way the Indians sat. And I'm thinking, I don't believe that's the way the Indians talk, neither.
Yeah, I don't see crazy horse out there.
I got a really hard time picturing Sitting Bull in his teepee and going, it's been many moons since we smoked the peace pipe. Sit up straight.
I don't think old Flaming Bow.
And because of Dancing with Men, our tribe is a little different. Like at our first jamboree, other tribes are reenacting Custer's Last Stand. We sang Barbra Streisand songs. But we went on our first camp out. And it was really cool. We took the kids to the Grand Canyon because we were going to study the Arizona Indians. So the night before our trip down into the canyon, we're all around this campfire. We got our tent set up. And Dance with Men is telling us all about the next day's trip. And he goes up in front. He goes, all right, Braves, everyone listen up. Now, tomorrow, you need to be very, very careful.
Very careful.
Because there's snakes.
Yes.
And there's one called the pink rattlesnake. And I'm just...
Rattle, rattle, rattle. He's got a rainbow rattle.
I go, Dance with Men. I go, a pink rattlesnake? And he goes, yes, Big Lass, and they're just as poisonous as the diamondbacks. And I turned to my son, I said, but they're really easy to spot. You can hear him in the bushes going, hiss, hiss.
It's funny as hell.
If you step on me, I'll bite you, I swear.
I swear. Oh, yeah, Rodney Carrington 500. Rodney Carrington.
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now available on StreamYard. Have you ever done a recording where your guest just had terrible internet issues? They were blurry, they were freezing. You could almost hardly hear them. Well, with local...
Rodney was way funnier before we were. I think his wife
Yeah, that's like my wife said. Rodney was funnier before the divorce. When he went through the divorce, which I don't know, he might do better because it's like when Jeff Dunham went through his divorce. He had this kind of string of angry, bitter comedy, and then he got back to being on top of everything. So I think that's what Rodney will do because Rodney is freaking hysterical. Yeah, Morningwood, Dear Penis, Little Things That Piss Me Off. Yeah, Rodney is freaking hysterical. It's like Ron White. Ron White is freaking. He is a boss when it comes to comedy. He's freaking outstanding. There's a couple other guys that are funny as shit.
I cannot stand Jeff Foxworthy.
I can do Jeff Foxworthy in kind of limited
No, he just needs to shut
intervals. Cable Guy for me is like that. I can do him in little bits here and there. Bill Burr is funny as hell. I love Bill Burr.
I know you do. But he's loud and obnoxious. All he does is fucking yell.
Oh, now we're gonna pull. It's already 8:06. Okay, so we're gonna end this one, and I'm gonna jump in the chat with Polite Society. So if you guys aren't watching Polite Society Daily Bullet, you guys need to be over there. The 5th of next month, I'm gonna be on there again with the guys. And God knows what we'll be talking about then. There will be plenty of stupid shit to talk about. But anyway, I am going to end this one, guys. I got to go cook a little bit. I'm going to be listening to some stuff in the background. Peace, love, bullets, and beans. Hell yeah. So we'll end this one just like pretty much I always do. You purpose be cool and keep that thing on you at all times. I love you guys. Be safe. Be careful. You know, watch what you're doing. Head on swivel. All that kind of stuff. If you've got wifeys and stuff like that, train with them. It's something me and my wife hadn't done in a while that we need to start doing again.
I know we trained with the car seat carrier thing.
Yeah, we trained together a lot, especially when the kids were younger. What do you do? Car seat in one hand, all that kind of stuff. Who's going to step in front? You know, who's going to kind of walk behind? And we need to do more of that. And if you do have special ones, loved ones, you guys need to do the same thing. Train with them. You kind of war game out stuff that can happen. And any trainer will tell you when you train to do these things, you know, you're building that muscle memory so that you'll more than likely do that in a stressful situation. Any trainer will tell you when you're in a stressful situation, you're going to fall back to basically your lowest level of training. Probably because that's the most ingrained. So you need to train and you know, and ingrain this stuff into your reactions, your muscle memory, all that kind of stuff. And when it comes to training with people you're with, you know, you need to train to see who's going to do what at a given time or how something's going to come up. To be honest with you guys, the biggest thing that scares me, and I'm going to get off here in a second, but the biggest thing that scares me is something happening when I have my daughter and my son. Say I'm traveling back in town. I picked them up from my folks and we stop at a store and something happens. Those are the biggest things that scare me.
We don't have backup.
Yeah, you don't have backup, and then you've got two younger ones that you have to do something to get them out of that situation. It's why a lot of times, say I stop by a gas station when I'm coming home, put gas in the truck and grab some beer. I leave the kiddos in the truck. Make sure they're buckled up, leave them in the truck. You know, make sure, of course, the truck's cool enough and all that stuff. I'm not like locking them in there like a dog in a parking lot, but I leave them in the truck because I know they're locked in. And if something happens, say when I'm coming to the truck, I can deal with that easier. I can jump in the truck. I can get out of there. If I'm blocked for some reason from getting in the truck, I know where the kids are at. That's the biggest thing that scares me. Not anything happening when I'm alone or anything that happens with me and the wife, because I know the wife is carrying too most of the time. We know the way each other carry. She tends to carry strong side. I'm carrying appendix now.
Strong side or kidney?
Yeah, she's either carrying strong side. Sometimes she carries small of the back. I carried small of the back for a long time when I was toting my 1911 around. Yeah, I've said it before on stream. I never thought I would go to an appendix carry. Never. It was this holster that I have my 19 in now. It was uncomfortable to carry strong side. Just the way the holster's set. So I said, screw it. I moved it to appendix. I gave it about 2 weeks to get comfortable with. I said, fuck it. This way this holster rides, I'm going to give it at least 2 weeks. And during that 2 weeks, you kind of shift stuff around, you change stuff a little bit here and there, and finally got to where it was comfortable. I can wear it all day. It doesn't bother me. I wore it gator hunting, laying block in my shed, you know, mowing the yard, all that.
I like mine. Strong side,
yeah.
Outside my waistband.
I like mine strong side. The thing with strong side is it's harder to reach with my offhand, and I find myself like I'd be in a store or something and people kind of crowd you, and that right arm automatically drops to your right side, and you just kind of suck it in towards your holster. Not trying to be overt with it, but you tend to try to protect that area. And I found out once I moved to appendix, I can draw either hand pretty easy. And if people are crowding me, I feel like I have more control. Even though one of my holsters that I was carrying strong side in, it was extremely hard to pull that gun out of that holster if you weren't wearing it. So trying to pull it from another position, grabbing and shit like that. It was a lot harder to pull that holster. The retention was good. I will warn anybody. We the People holsters have good holsters, but their clips absolutely suck. Most of the time, I've had a couple of We the People holsters, and most of the time their clips would break within a month or so of having them. That's why, hell, the holster I carry, there's two holsters that I use now. One that I built when I was in SDI, that's a real comfortable appendix holster, and the other one I can't remember. I got the holster and everything else from Rocky Brass when I ordered everything to build that gun, and now Rocky Brass is shut down. They shut down when all this frame and receiver bullshit started. So,
Oh, hey, Al wants to build AK.
I want to build an AK. Tell him to get a parts kit. We'll roll it.
He's not picking the parts. He just wants to know who's going to owe you. Well, he said me, but oh, fuck, I don't do it for free.
But he won't owe me nothing.
That's what I said.
We can get together. I mean, as long as I got a press, I got all the riveting stuff, and we can build it out. Or my wife was talking. One of the friends from the gun shop wants to build an AK. And I guess he asked how much I'd charge, tools and all that. And it's, fuck, dude. I mean, I'll build the AK with you. Ain't no problem. That ain't, I love building AKs. Anytime I get a chance to do that, I'm going to freaking do it. So, even if I'm just showing him,
Well, you're going to have to.
which is what's going to have to happen, because you can't, ATF with all their bullshit. God forbid I like laid my hand and did one operation on the build, and then it'd be a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, dude, 500 I've never carried in like a ankle holster. I've thought about doing it with like a backup little freaking revolver or something like that. But I don't know. That's the only reason I would ankle carry is for a backup. Because to be honest with you, someone attacks you, you're laid out on your back. Especially if they're doing anything upper body, you're not going to be able to get to your ankle. Ankle carry would be like I'm sitting in a restaurant and somebody 2 booths over starts acting stupid. So I discreetly reach under the table, throw a napkin over it, and then tell my family, you guys need to leave. Just walk out. Don't make eye contact with nothing. You guys get out of here. And while my family's walking out, I'm watching dude. And if he acts funny, he's catching some hot shit.
See, I would do it, but I'm a girl and we don't always have pockets or a belt.
Yeah, that would be another. Like my wife said, she'd do it because, women's clothes, you don't always have pockets and belts and shit like that. Snub nose 357, hell yeah, Magnum. But that's the way I would carry. If I was going to carry ankle, that would be my backup. I got pulled over by a damn state trooper one time. I can't remember where I was at. But when he got out of his car, of course, he puts his hat on. He's state trooper. but his pants legs were riding up over his fucking ankle holster. And he said something. I said, dude, your ankle holster's showing. And he kind of looked down and looked at his pants leg and was like, oh, shit. Just kind of wiggled his pants leg and put it back down. I think that's the only time I've got out of a ticket with a state trooper. If it's the one I'm thinking about. It may have been the ankle holster comment that got me out of the son bitch. I don't know. It was one of those days. But anyway, guys, I am in it here, man. I know I said it a minute ago, but 2 minutes, 10, 12, fuck, I don't know. A few minutes ago.
It's like a Southern person saying goodbye.
Yeah, that's like my wife says, like Southern people saying goodbye. You say goodbye in the house, then you walk to the front door, you say goodbye. You get to the car, you talk about a bunch of stories, say goodbye. They get in the car, you keep talking goodbyes and shit. Yeah, it's a fucking Southern thing, man. Some of you guys are up north, you guys just have to understand. This is the way it is. It's like coming to someone's house in the South. You don't come to the front door, you go to the carport. And it's just the way it is. If they have a front door and they have a carport, you go to the carport. That's how normal people go to a house in the South. If they have a carport in the front door and you knock on the front door, you do not know those people. You're pretty much trespassing. All right. Well, you guys be cool, man. I'm going to get out of here and try to catch the rest of the Polite Society podcast. And then, like I said, the 5th, I'm going to be back on there. 5th is a Saturday, so I'll be on there with a panel. And it's been cool as shit to be on there with Paul. And, I was on there first time. I was on there with Paul, Tony Simon, everybody else. Forgive me, I can't remember because Tony fucking Simon, man. He's pound for pound the biggest gun bunny in the business. So you guys take him easy, man. I will tell you this. I am working on a yeah, I am. But I am working once I get it set up. I'm going to do a show with Yehuda Reamer, the Pew Pew Jew. And if you don't follow Yehuda, what are you doing with your life? Because he's funny as shit. He's a hell of a troll. Yeah, I'm getting off. All right. So you guys be cool. I am shutting it down. Keep that thing on you at all times, perps. Later.